What's up, guys and gals? It's time for the latest chapter review for One Piece, chapter 1182. And if you guys can already tell, I know it's happening everywhere, whether it's thunderstorms or windstorms, as you can tell by this look. It's been a crazy little bit of weather pattern this week from all my friends, all across the North America. It's, and so I only mention this, A, because this, and B, because the title of the chapter is literally, I believe you say it as Zala, but it translates to like heavy rainfall, downfall, that kind of idea. So it just implies like a really big, like, oh man, we got some weather patterns happening, you know what I'm saying? So it's a rainfall. And yeah, it's certainly, this chapter definitely does do that. Now, I will be straight up with you guys. I read the chapter. I thought it was fine, but I wasn't super wowed by it because, similar to Whole Cake, a lot of people on a week-to-week basis, and I was there, I was reviewing on my previous channel, when Whole Cake was happening week-to-week, some chapters just felt like transitional chapters. Like, it was moving the story along, but it felt like nothing really happened that mattered or anything significant was revealed. So, or you're left with more questions than answers. That's tried and true for One Piece fans, of course, but I digress with that one. So, fact of the matter is, this chapter, 1182, was a good chapter. I don't have many complaints, but it didn't wow me, and I was a little busy. So, it felt like one of those chapters. As I said, I compare it to Whole Cake more than anything. Some people can use that with Wano or especially Dressrosa. But I was only reviewing Dressrosa near the tail end of it, so I didn't have the full front, and I certainly wasn't doing it anime style. But this particular chapter, just I didn't feel the need to rush down and, alright, gotta talk about this one this week, because yeah, it just felt like one of those, okay, things are moving along, can't wait to see what happens. More than anything else. And that's not a bad thing. As I said, from a week-to-week basis and stuff, you're going to have those type of chapters. And sometimes they're comedy-filled, or they're just, they're lore-filled, or they're action-filled, or something significant really happens to take away from that transition feel. But Whole Cake had a bit of a problem with that on a week-to-week. When you reread it as a full thing, same with this chapter, it'll be totally fine. But I was getting that reminder, and here we are, right? So, I will go through the chapter really quick, but honestly, as I said, I liked the chapter. It was fine. But, I wasn't rushing out to review it, because it was like, okay, yeah. We knew about Needhog, the whole idea that Emu is like, oh, goddamn, I know your face. Heroin, Needhog, right? And, Loki's like, alright, well, I'm going to blast this son of a bitch sort of idea, right? And Emu basically says, thou shalt threaten the world once again, and thou is, Ragnar, I remember thee, you have finally found a new master all this time. And Ragnar is now admitted to being, Ragnar was a magical hammer, quite literally Mjolnir. Ragnar was definitely a magical hammer who ate the squirrel fruit model Ratatotsker. It is a mythical zone, so we do get that confirmation. That's quite nice. That the squirrel form is the Zoan devil fruit power. Ragnar is an actual sentient hammer, and just happened to do one of those. Oh, it's got a devil fruit. How that works, how they eat one, we still don't know. Anyways, so yeah, really, really cool in that case, because by that logic, the chest, the little box, the little treasure chest that Shanks had the Gum Gum no Mi in, should have ate its essence by that point. You know what I mean? So we're still unclear on the rules here. Of course, magical swinging giant hammers, maybe they have a different rule set. But anyways, yes, we do get that. Big double page of them attacking each other. Emu using Nova Eclipse, and Loki just attacking with, Ragnar 5 arrows and just, like, blasting. So they're just blasting at each other like crazy. We get a shot of Bonnie and Vegapunk, Lilith Vegapunk, talking about, what's going on here. Like, who is this person? There's not one of the 5 elders. It's not one of the Knights of God. So who is this person? Vegapunk trying to figure it out. And they're trying to recover Sanji here, who got a shipwreck. Now, Sanji gets up immediately and says, no, I'm going to definitely, the kids, like, they haven't given up on kidnapping the giant kids. Their first plan was foiled, but now they've gotten a second wind. So Sanji takes off. While injured, he's like, no, I can't have this. I've got to stop killing him. So good on Sanji, good character for him and stuff like that. Of course, he has to end it with the land of the giant beauties, which, once again, I am one of the few people who does not care about the pervert nosebleed anime trope. The Master Roshis, the Morokus, the Sanjis. I don't feel very negative towards it unless it's really creepy or really blatant. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, he loves women. He's a horn dog. 98% of the male population literally thinks this. Sanji's just admitting it. So I'm like, alright, fair enough. I'm one of the few people that's like, alright, he's just outwardly choosing what we're all thinking, when we see, I'm just saying, so it does not bother me. However, it did take away from this to add this one comedic line. It's similar, even though people have their different opinion about the Robin come save me moment and stuff like that in Wano. With Sanji here, I was a little bit like, oh no, this is really good. He's beaten down, but he's, number 4 on the crew. This is a nice dig there. Number 4 on the crew, where he's just like, I can't be laying down. I don't care how beat up my body is. That prick hasn't given up on trying to kidnap the children. So I've got to go. I've got to go save the kids and stuff like that. And they're just like, Sanji, we can't let everyone's efforts be in vain here. Usopp and Luffy admire this country. It's my personal duty to protect Elbaf as well. So we've got this great moment where he's like, I got to make sure he's not going after the kids. I got to save him. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good heroic Sanji moment and stuff. And yes, his captain and one of his best friends, they love this country. He's got to do everything he can to defend it. And it's the land of the giant beauties. You had to end it on the sour note. It's like, and as I said, I'm someone who doesn't care if Master Roshi's a pervert. He was introduced as a pervert. I read OG Dragon Ball. I'm good with it. He's a perverted old man. As I said, 98% of the male population becomes a Master Roshi when they get that old. So, it's no secret, right? It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is it took away from an actual pretty good small speech from Sanji being like, no, you don't understand. He's going to go after the kids. I got to go save the kids. So I was like, yeah, Sanji, let's go. And then they had to end it on a joke. I was a little miffed. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, then we get a scene with the fact that Biblo, the wise old Dumbledore-looking fucking owl over here, or McGonagall, whatever, take your Harry Potter reference, is standing there, apparently had a hidden library section of the library, grabbed all the books, hid them there, and Saul's like, I'm great. Robin's like, oh, man, so nothing was damaged, there was no consequence. A little bit problematic there, but also just being like, so you're more of a mystery than I first reckoned, eh, Biblo? Robin's just grateful. Saul's like, who the hell are you, Owl? So now we've got another mystery, which is cool, because Biblo is kind of badass design. Owls just look cool in general, but yeah. But the Harry Potter glasses on an owl looks kind of cool. And yeah, so then we see that Summers, and they all have these rings, because Emu has supercharged them, right? So they have these black rings and stuff like that. And he's like, well, I found a ship. We got to get the kids. We got to do this. We got to do that. We jump over to the new giant warrior pirates who are all trying to recover here. And it's just like, oh, we're out of this mess. What are we going to do? And stuff like that. And we see that the last one, Goldberg there, is the only one who didn't take any significant damage. And Zoro is traveling on his shoulder, because he's just like, listen, if you run as a giant, you'll make leaps and bounds towards where I need to go. You need to get me there as fast as possible, because I might have clashed with Emu, but I'm not down and out. I'm a goddamn pirate hunter Zoro over here. I'm first mate of Monkey D, the future king of the pirates. I am the next Rayleigh. You think this shit's gonna say? No, buddy. Zoro's still in this fight. So he's like, yeah, get me there sort of idea. He's like, yeah, well, this is the best way we can do it and stuff like that. Zoro sort of contemplates the fact that, these black flames and they turn into steel bullets and explosives and stuff. Things are getting really dicey here. We got to end this shit before it gets out of control. So Zoro's like, yeah, full speed ahead, because I got to start cutting some shit up. So good on Zoro. And then we have the fact that Killingham are apparently released the thing that they fear, the God's Knight's Dream Demon, what they fear, which apparently is this makes a lot of sense, because he's like the monster known as the Rain God, the one who pelts the lower realm with water from above. For those of us born above the clouds, the idea of water falling from the sky is terrifying. I like that. It's a really cool design, based on, of course, the Rain God Zaza, a dream demon, what they fear the most. Definitely based on a lot of different Japanese and almost looks like maybe some Hindu elements towards the design of a rain god and stuff like that. I've seen similar designs many, many times throughout different mythologies. This looks really, really cool. It's a definite... I love the light gray overtone that it's all water and stuff like that, washing everything away. And it would make sense that they fear this. You know what I mean? It makes sense that the Holy Knights and that everyone born in Marijois would fear rain, because they've always been above the clouds. They don't know what rain is. Rain would be terrifying. Water? You mean that thing in the ocean that crushes people? And sea stone, and that the devil fruit people die in and stuff like that? That's falling down from the sky and we can't stop it nor control it. It would, as they're born there in a world without rain would be scary. I like that. I like that even though they're adults and they understand it, it's still an irrational fear for them. So we see that Zoro is immediately going to head back, and he's like, oh, do I got to take care of this thing? And he starts pulling out his swords. But Sanji is on his way and says, no, it'll be fine. And because Sanji's going the opposite way. And then he says, hey, Zoro looks at him as they're sort of crossing paths, like, hey, don't screw this up. And Sanji says right back at you. So Zoro's going to continue on his mission, likely towards where, obviously, if those guys are going towards the, if he's going towards the rain gods, then perhaps it's sort of unclear where Zoro is heading towards, whether he's heading towards Emu or Summers and Killingham. Regardless, Sanji's going one direction, Zoro's going another, and they're gonna, have that little bit of that banter, but that faith in each other, like, hey, don't screw this up. Right back at you, asshole. And that's, or Ma said, and that's the end of the chapter. So, as I said, it's a good chapter. There's just a lot. There's a lot of transitional parts. We're getting Zoro to the fight. We're getting Sanji to the fight. Luffy is still not in the fight. We add the mystery of Biblo, and we're just getting more of the same of Loki and Emu clashing with no real significance winning that battle one way or another. So that's what I mean by a transitional chapter. It was still a good chapter. It just didn't wow me at any particular point. And as I said, I was a little dismayed at Sanji having such a, in my opinion, a really great it's going to be underrated and glossed over by a lot of the community. I thought it was really good that his first thing on his mind was, I know what that bastard's thinking. He's going to go after the children again. They haven't given up on that plan. We might have foiled them once. Somebody needs to stop him. This is not good. And his immediate thought is for the children of the giants. That was such a good, heartfelt, like, yeah, Sanji is still our hero. Sanji is one of our Straw Hats, and he's a really heroic guy. And then they sort of just faltered it just for the gag. And once again, most people, and I'm included, once again, I'm fine with the Meliodas, Roshi, all that shit, for the most part, because I understand that's the joke. You don't have to like the joke, but that's the joke. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Simple as that. That's my opinion. But not at the cost of it taking away from the heroic moments. You know what I mean? it when this happens with most of these characters, Roy Mustang, Full Metal Alchemist, is known to be a little bit of a ladies' man in certain, especially in the original 2003 series and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That doesn't take away from when he's doing his badass stuff. When there's a serious crisis, when there's badass moments, Roshi, even in Super, Roshi and his moment, there was no talk about panties and friggin', grabbing some titties and shit like that. That was a really great, this is my most powerful, this is the turtle hermit way. That, like, you're not thinking about that at the time, right? You don't need to bring up the fact that he's an old pervert. You don't need to do that every time. Meliodas, when he's in some really great moments in Seven Deadly Sins, we don't bring up the fact that he's a groper of his wife. You know what I mean? We don't bring these things up. Kisuke, Urahara, Bleach, also him and Yoruichi, little bit of some tomfoolery going on there. But when the shit hits the fan, he's one of the most badass characters with some of the most badass moments, and we don't ruin those moments by trying to get the lull. And it just, yeah. So for me, that sort of, obviously I'm talking about it now twice, so it really did bother me more than I even thought initially. But now that I'm talking about it, yeah, that took away. That took away more than I'd like to admit. And I think Oda really does need to work a little bit better on that. You can keep the Sanji is a pervert moments towards the in-between stuff, to the ship and stuff like that. And, oh my Nami Swan and shit like that. You can do that. But stop bleeding it into his better moments. His heroic moments, Because that was a 10 out of 10 moment, and now it's not, as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, that's it for me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys back next time for 1183. I believe there is a break next week, so that'll be the week after. So, but yeah, stay tuned for that. Sorry this one was late, but as I already explained, it was a transition chapter. I was a little busy, and I didn't think this was such a wow to talk about, Nothing crazy went down so far, but we're going to have those transition chapters for these bigger arcs and these bigger battles. So it's still necessary. It just is what it is. So anyways, plug. See you guys next time.